Welcome back, everybody, to the Healthy Habit Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Dayan of Healthy Habit Medical Center, and thanks for tuning in here, folks, to episode 263. We're talking with Mr. Jeff Tezak. Hope I pronounced that right. Jeff Tezak, former collegiate minor league baseball infielder turned entrepreneur and wellness advocate. After a baseball career at Nebraska, he played professionally and coached internationally before joining Nebraska's coaching staff. He then transitioned into business, co-founding Tiiga, Tiiga, a Baobab-based beverage brand in 2020, going on 6 years now. It's our first time talking with Tiiga here, this company, and Jeff, the CEO of Tiiga, which is a company that delivers nature's most powerful gut health solution, gut health plus hydration, harnessing the power of raw baobab, fruit fiber. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly as well. It's our first time discussing this fruit fiber, so I'm excited to get the ins and outs here today from Jeff. And to create a one-of-a-kind prebiotic fiber and hydration drink mix that's over 75% fruit with no added sugar. And Jeff's going to help us understand why it's different, why this is different from other fiber products. So welcome, Jeff. First time on the podcast. How are we doing?
Thanks for having me, Dr. John. I appreciate it. I am doing very well and excited to talk about Baobab with your guys' customers, explain the true differentiation that exists about it, and then just, kind of educate people on the fact that it exists, because most people just have never heard of the fruit. And actually, most people do know what it is. So it's exciting to talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. Maybe we'll have a part 2 in 2026. We're recording this about mid-December of 25. So we'll see if we will see how much we can cover here in a 26-minute intro, at least. So what inspired you to get involved with this specific fruit fiber? 75% fruit, no added sugar. It's a drink mix, most powerful gut health solution that we can come up with here. One of the most here, combining gut health with hydration. So yeah, tell us about what inspired you to get involved with this specific prebiotic fiber.
Yeah, so I'll give a little history. So I was in graduate school coaching, and my co-founder is actually from Burkina Faso in West Africa. In West Africa, the baobab fruit grows wild. Actually, in about 30 countries, it grows wild throughout Africa. And when the fruit ripens on the tree, it actually naturally dehydrates in the pod. Now, again, I can try to tell people all day on this, but you have to kind of go look at it online. Literally, when you crack it open, it is a powdered fruit. So he told me about this energy drink that they drank, baobab milk and honey. I was intrigued. And my background was sports. I thought we could kind of combine the idea of this whole raw fruit with an electrolyte blend, because it already was high in electrolytes. So that's kind of where the genesis started. And then since then, it's kind of morphed into the real benefits, which is the unique prebiotic fiber component of baobab, which is still being learned. There's a bunch that's been out there, but there's still more. And so what we do with our formulation is we take baobab fruit, we put a ton of it in there. So most times it'll kind of be the last ingredient or kind of middle of a product. What we do in the gut health plus hydration mix is we actually put 7 grams of baobab, which gives you roughly 5 grams of a prebiotic fiber. And then we combine it with coconut water and electrolytes and flavor it. And that's it. And so what we really have is this baobab and coconut water drink mix that happens to be also the most powerful gut health solution, we believe, because it comes from raw fruit. And then secondly, because it is this uniquely diverse prebiotic in the sense that it is coming with all sorts of carbohydrates.
Got it. Beautiful introduction there, Jeff. Thank you. Appreciate that. Doing a quick screen share on drinktiiga.com. Is it Tiiga or Tiiga?
Tiiga, we're okay with Tiiga as well. Gotcha. It means a tree of life. So in Moray, my co-founder's native language, Tiiga means a tree of life.
Yeah.
And that's how we got to that name.
Perfect. Plant-based supplement with organic baobab fruit, coconut water, prebiotic fiber, and electrolytes. No added sugar. Clean support for digestion and balance. So what we're looking at here on the screen share is the watermelon flavor. Are we looking at multiple different flavor options? Tell us about the different variety, the options that are available for our customers.
So I would actually stay right there. That just right down below kind of shows you a perfect example. So basically how we do this is we say we have this core formula that is a ton of baobab to give you that 5 grams of prebiotic fiber. We add coconut water at a specific amount, and then we just flavor to different flavors. Baobab is naturally citrusy, so it kind of creates a really nice base. It also doesn't gel, so it mixes really well and creates a nice viscosity, right? So that's how we create our formulas. And then so what we do is we just do basically citrus formulas off of that. So we have raspberry lemonade, orange mango, watermelon, strawberry. We do a tropical one, which is kind of like a pineapple. And then I'm always forgetting the last one. Why can't I remember? Oh, lemon lime. You got to always have the lemon lime. And then what you see there as well is we do baobab on its own. And the reason for this, we call it baobab boost, is because we think about adding baobab to everything that you have, whether that's yogurt, oatmeal. I add more to a stick of the gut health plus hydration, or if I buy the tub or I have the tub, I'll do a couple scoops. I was just talking to a friend. I basically can go without eating breakfast and lunch just by having 2 scoops of gut health plus hydration and 2 scoops of baobab.
Yeah.
And I'm basically covered for the day. So
Fascinating. So again, organic baobab. This is the first time maybe ever on the podcast we discussed this specific fruit. So talk about being unique. I appreciate you coming on to educate us on this one. I mean,
yeah,
go ahead.
I think everything else in the fiber space especially is derived from something, because then they can go study it, right? So we think of psyllium husk is derived as the byproduct of the psyllium plant. You think of chicory root, things like that, where they're extracting a specific compound from it to create that fiber. Usually the byproduct, guar gum's another one, right? So guar bean is pulling out the fiber to create guar gum or guar fiber. And so baobab, one, is a whole food, right? So it's a whole fruit. It's not extracted, but that makes it a little bit harder to test. So we have a lot that's showing it's prebiotic, but we don't specifically test it the way that all these other kind of, I call them byproducts, have been tested to kind of prove the validity, right? So baobab, if you think about how we use it, is literally like dehydrating an apple, but you don't dehydrate it. So there's no secondary kill step. There's no processing to it. It is literally the raw fruit. All we do is seethe it to a finer micron, and that's it. And so there's just nothing like it. And if we go into the actual, compounds, it has an array of carbohydrates that make up the prebiotic side of it. It's also super high in antioxidants, as well as electrolytes. So it's just this unique whole food that doesn't have to be processed. That also happens to not taste bad, right? So this is a great example. So you can see how it's literally this powdered fruit. We take it, it's like comes in as a clump. You just seethe it down to a finer powder. In the middle of that clump is a little seed. The seed oils have probably been sold in the store forever as a oil for like your face, things like that. But people in Africa have been consuming it forever. There's a tribe called the Hasda tribe in East Africa that they studied their microbiome because they're a hunter-gatherer tribe. They have the most diverse microbiome that they've found. And one of their core staples out of their 5, I'd say food groups is baobab. And so
interesting.
There continues to be more and more information about baobab showing its benefits. I don't like to talk about it from a superfruit. I like to keep it very simple in the sense, what is its core benefit? And so we always start with fiber, because it is made up of over 60% fiber, right? So that's how we always start it. It's both soluble and insoluble, which I think also makes it very unique. So most, fiber supplements are soluble fiber, right? And so what's unique about the soluble to insoluble component is this. One, you have the soluble fiber, which is going to work it as a natural prebiotic. But because baobab also has a ton of antioxidants and insoluble fiber, that insoluble fiber is a carrier for those antioxidants to also feed the microbiome. So you're feeding the microbiome with the soluble fiber, but you're also creating a better way to feed the microbiome with your antioxidants. And so I've just found with anybody that uses this, I joke and I tell people to test it. A couple of things. One, satiation, test it at all levels. Consume as much baobab as you want. You'll never get bloated, and you basically stay satiated. The second one is that if you do have stomach issues, just start consuming it on a regular basis. And at some point, you'll find that your stomach issues either dissipate or lessen. Like almost every person that we've ever given it to for that reason. And it's not because we're doing something scientifically amazing. The fruit has grown in Africa for thousands and millions of years. Wild, and its nutrient compound and the way that it is creating this. And so I just don't think, it's one of the last things that we can actually get to people that is in its raw form to create all those good bacteria in your gut that just doesn't exist as we continue to, formulate and create new things. And that was what really intrigued me about baobab in the first place. I want things that just come from the earth as much as possible. And I get it that we have to do things to it, but baobab is so unique in that case.
Right. You're not doing any extracts. You're not going through any specific complexes of B vitamins and combinations of nutrients. You're just going straight to the fruit, dehydrating it, combining.
Not even dehydrating it. Not
Uh-huh.
even dehydrated. That's the craziest part. It is
Oh,
dehydrated.
just
We don't even
naturally,
do
it
that.
says here. I see. It says naturally dehydrated fruit.
So it looks funny, but literally when that fruit ripens,
Wow.
it's a clump of powder. And that's like the art been for 5, 6 years. That's been our like impossible mission, is to explain you are eating. I basically say it's like eating an apple, but in powder form. Like you're literally rip open a sachet,
Uh-huh.
pour it out of there. That is the raw fruit that you are consuming. And
That's
there is
wild.
nothing I've ever seen like that ever.
Same, buddy. That's very interesting. I appreciate you clarifying that. So, why is it so important to support the microbiome? This is one of the main focus points here of Tiiga as a company, supporting that microbiome. Tell us about that. What led you to even want to help people with their microbiome? There's a lot of research now coming out. Why is that such an important factor in health?
So we're out of Nebraska, and Nebraska has a couple of different programs called One Food for Health, and then we have a lot of scientists on that side that are really focused on the overall microbiome and the way that if you can create healthy microbiomes, what it does to people's systems, right?
Yeah.
And so I had been talking to these guys for over the course of this, basically since before we launched our product. So I continue to learn more and more in the microbiome space, talk to gastroenterologists, things like that, and I found that I feel like most things that happen to our bodies negatively
Yeah.
or positively are coming from the microbiome, and that's starting to finally come out in research. And so I knew that there was a benefit to Baobab in that sense, but the starting to combine the two ideas, right? What benefits a microbiome? Prebiotics. What benefits a microbiome? Antioxidants, electrolytes, like all these different components. A raw fruit, right? Like these raw ingredients are going to be absorbed better. What we found is like it is one of the best things to support your microbiome without
Yeah.
having to worry about, can you have too much of it? Is it going to harm you? Is it going to do something? Like, because it's in this raw natural state, and have been consumed for millions of years, we have the case study of people having consumed it forever. And so we've been really focused on it from a microbiome additive, in the sense that like just add this to your diet as whatever else you're doing, whether it's you're with a naturopath, a specific doctor, and they're talking about it, but it's like Baobab is not going to hurt it. If anything, it's only going to help it. And so we're just trying to get people to kind of start think of it that way. It's like adding this to your diet from a prebiotic fiber standpoint, from a microbiome feeding standpoint, like is going to help you.
Yeah.
Now, the extent to that is just based on maybe how much you consume or what else you're consuming in your daily life. But we just found that that's more powerful than hydration. I think people just assume hydration is like when it's hot out, which is not also the case. But we found it to be more powerful to discuss it from the microbiome standpoint than the
Yeah.
hydration standpoint.
Got it. And you mentioned their prebiotic a few moments ago, and a lot of people have heard of probiotics. Or there's even postbiotic fibers and,
Yep.
and postbiotic metabolites that are produced by the bacteria in the gut. What are the prebiotics exactly? Why is that? What role does that play in here? Basically, fiber itself is technically a prebiotic, right? But
Yep.
tell us a little bit more about that idea of prebiotics.
So the prebiotic, how I view the prebiotic and how we view this is the prebiotic is basically the feed for the probiotic.
Right.
And so Baobab is made up of like, I don't think we had somebody actually look at it. It's just uh, a large amount of different carbohydrates, which is basically your fibers, that then can be feed for the probiotics. And so because it's not just one carbohydrate, it's providing all these different carbohydrates as a fiber that then can feed the probiotics. It's very unique in that instance versus other fibers that might be just one specific carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of try to talk about it. It's like you're giving this diverse carbohydrate that's feeding all sorts of probiotics within your gut to create all sorts other short chain fatty acids and things like that.
Amazing. And why did you choose to have this in the form of a hydration mix, a powder, as opposed to encapsulated?
You need a lot. So it's, I mean, you need,
Uh huh.
I'm a firm believer you need 7 grams of baobab as a good serving, because that gives you roughly 4.5 to 5 grams of fiber per serving.
Got it.
And so, that would be 12 or 14 capsules,
Right.
which would be, we talked to some people about it potentially. I mean, you could probably get away with 3 to 4 grams. So you'd be at like 6 to 8 capsules,
I
but it's
see.
still a ton of capsules.
Yeah.
And it mixes well. It doesn't taste bad. I don't know if you've had it yet, but it's like baobab on its own. It's not a great taste. It's not a bad taste. It's just kind of a light, citrusy, non-sweet taste. It's about 20% sugar if you look at like a formulation, it's about 60% fiber, 20% sugar. So it's not very sweet versus, say an apple, those types of things. But it also doesn't have a bad taste, and it mixes really well with a lot of things. So we tell people one of the best things you can do is mix it with protein powder. So especially our flavored stuff, it's really great with protein powder. It's great as a collagen additive. If you're having a collagen, I'm trying to think what else. I mix it with basically anything.
What about oatmeal? I haven't tried it yet, Jeff, but now I will after talking
Yep.
with you and knowing about this, and that's why I do these shows. It's number one helping our customers, but I'm applying this as well into my life. So I'm gonna definitely get on this. And what about in mixing it into like oatmeal or something? Would that work?
Yep. Yeah. So actually, one of the best ways to have it is with milk and honey, which
Oh,
is the
nice.
native drink.
Okay.
It seems kind of weird, but it's tangy. It's almost like you ever heard of Iran? It's kind of the Middle Eastern.
No.
It's like a Middle Eastern milk kind of yogurty drink. It's like tangy,
Okay.
but with honey and milk, Baobab tastes amazing. Um, and then so we've messed with it that we don't sell any kind of products like that, but with yogurt, with oatmeal, you don't want to put too much cream of wheat. Actually, ironically, we
Okay.
found some people that put it with that. But if you do about 7 grams or less, you won't taste it at all.
Got it.
If you start doing more, it's going to be a little tangy. So you always kind of want to sweeten it with some fruits or some sort of like kind of sweetener in the sense of like a honey. Um, but yeah, and then like I can just drink it on its own. It's really good in teas. So you can actually add it to like a lemon ginger tea, and you can just literally put a scoop of baobab. It's going to settle. So the one thing that's been, also kind of interesting to explain is like we want to have efficacious amounts in the product, right?
Right.
So putting 7 grams of a soluble, insoluble fiber that will settle is interesting because as a hydration product, it was like, oh no, this hydration product settles, but it's like that's raw fruit that's in your drink. Just shake it and it'll go back in. So we always just tell people kind of make sure you're stirring it. It doesn't get gumpy or I don't know the word for it. It'll
Yeah.
just settle and then it's completely viscous once you kind of shake it or stir it back in. And we always kind of recommend either using a stir straw, like the whisk, or using some sort of shaker bottle. But
Got it.
once you've shaken it into water, it'll completely dissipate. It's hydrophobic, meaning like the water will go around it. But if you can get it into the water first, or you kind of do it always in a sprinkle, it won't clump up. I've been using it for 6 years, 7 years now, and it's like I don't ever have these problems. So it's a lot of times just getting used to working with the material. But it's delicious. Yeah. Once you do it in those
So
type.
perfect breakdown. And what I did on the screen share here is I just pulled up all the products. If you just go to drinktiiga.com, that's with Tiiga, two I's in there, drinktiiga.com, and just click products here at the top left tab. And then you'll see their gut health hydration variety packs. You'll see that they have just like a tub, like the raspberry lemonade tub of 30 servings. They have the 16 pack bags as well, like individual sachets there. And then they even just have the general organic baobab fruit. It looks like this is just straight up unflavored.
That's just the baobab fruit on its own.
This is just and it says here add to smoothies oatmeal water milk. I'm gonna probably try it with the milk and honey, like you said, the classic way to prep it. So they have the supplement facts broken down in here. It's just 100% organic baobab fruit powder. Is that correct in this one?
Could not be simpler. That's why that's all it says. Is it's like this
That's
is all it
that's
is.
great.
This is
Yeah.
all it is. And if you look at, I mean, if you want to break down from a nutritional standpoint, if you think about it, this is 5 grams of fiber per serving. It's a 7 gram serving.
Okay.
And then if you look at that, there's calcium. All the calcium as an electrolytes coming from baobab. That 157 milligrams of potassium is coming from baobab. There was actually a study, and then magnesium as well. There was actually a study a long time ago in the 90s that they tested it versus oral rehydration solutions. So that was originally what I kind of researched. And they tested baobab versus an oral rehydration solution. They tested baobab with sugar, and then they tested baobab plus an oral rehydration. And baobab on its own and baobab with sugar did just as well as oral rehydration solutions, meaning like your I'll give like kind of what a liquid IV is trying to talk about, right? Like a full electrolyte solution.
Right.
Baobab and basically sugar does the same thing. So
Fascinating. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get on this. I'm probably gonna start with just this straight up baobab fruit powder just to get the fruit on its own and just see how that works. Really
and from a
interesting.
And
Go
from an
ahead.
in-store standpoint, what we try to do is we always try to have the individual sticks. We do cartons for the in-store, like a box where you can just do it at
Right.
the front of the store. And so we always want to, get people to try one stick, give it a try,
Right.
test it out, test a couple different flavors. You're going to have one flavor you like. We never want to try to oversell the idea of like taking the 30 serving right away. So, and then this formula that you're showing right now, what we do with this is we use a little bit of Baobab and we've made a super clean electrolyte that's zero sugar. Um, and that's a delicious tasting, basically affordable electrolyte. We
Got
don't
it.
sell
Yeah.
this in stores.
Okay. This is the Nature Forged Zero Sugar Electrolyte Drink Mix, made with organic baobab fruit and essential electrolytes, designed to hydrate your body, support your gut health without the artificial ingredients that often, ironically, cause digestive issues. Even though people are taking it to try to improve the gut health, it can make it worse. They don't sell this one in stores. You can get this at drinktiiga.com. But one thing before we end this first episode together, my friend, I want to just quickly differentiate the difference versus other fibers. You did mention in the beginning, I gave a little intro on that, how it's different. But you mentioned briefly just a few moments ago, it doesn't gel. It doesn't cause that gel-like consistency when you try to mix it into things.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable, easy to consume, it's unprocessed. But how is it different from things like psyllium husk, acacia fiber, guar gum? And then we'll finish there, pretty much.
Yeah, so perfect. Great example. So first off, gel is, I think, one of the most important parts. So people think of fiber. I always joke nobody's running to the fiber aisle skipping to it, right? Like
Yeah.
nobody's super excited to go get their fiber.
Right.
Baobab can be enjoyable and Baobab can be drank all day. So what I do in the morning is I literally make a giant Tiiga plus Baobab, right? And I can sip that throughout the day. All it's going to do is settle. If you have a psyllium husk, everybody knows within 15 minutes you're eating gel, right? Basically, you're having
Right.
Jello. So the first one is that. So I always say the gel part. The second one is everything else is a byproduct. Baobab is 100% fruit. I don't know how else to explain that as extremely important, but basically think about that. You're eating a whole food or you're
Right.
having the byproduct of something else. The next one is they're all prebiotics, but the other one is soluble to insoluble fiber. So if you go down a little bit farther, it'll say, oh, actually, I don't have it on here. So Baobab is both soluble and insoluble fiber. All these other fibers are just soluble fiber.
Yeah.
And why that insoluble is beneficial is one, from an antioxidant carrier, but also just going to the bathroom, right? It's also going to help going to the bathroom. It's going to bulk your stool. And then
Right.
lastly, it has antioxidants and electrolytes. I mean, no other fiber is going to have antioxidants in it, right? Baobab actually has a little bit less ECGCs than green tea, and it
Wow.
has insanely large amount of antioxidants versus if we look at it like any other fruit, it's like double, triple a blueberry, double, triple acai. There's actually, I sent you that link to the Leading Edge Clinic, which is some doctors and nurse practitioners that are focused on people with chronic fatigue syndrome,
Uh-huh.
post-COVID issues, things like that. They actually recommend Baobab as a way to help in that instance too. So Baobab's super high in antioxidants. We don't sell it on the antioxidant side because that takes a lot more education, I think, kind of where you're at, right? Or in-store training to, to really understand the benefits of
Yeah.
that powerful of an antioxidant. But I mean, next to glutathione, like I take glutathione and then boom, this would be like my second antioxidant that I'm focused on.
Fascinating. Yeah, you sent me the links there, I think, to Dr. Pierre Corey, correct?
Yeah.
And then there actually is a page here. I'm going to go quickly to that with the last couple minutes here to go with Jeff Tezak here on episode 263 of the Healthy Habit Podcast. Thanks again for joining us here today, Jeff. This was super important. Talk about uniqueness. First time I've ever heard of a product with baobab fruit in there. So you can see their About Us page here. They do have a research page somewhere here through their
Just at the
website.
bottom, just at the
Gotcha.
bottom, all the way down.
So
And
if we
then,
go all the way down to the website, you just hit research, boom, you can come across all the different studies looking at anti-inflammatory support, the micronutrient status, satiation scores, prebiotic, antioxidants, and much more. But yeah, like you said, it actually, in and of itself, the fruit is providing hydration,
yep.
which makes it unique from other fiber products, plus the antioxidant score. So you've definitely convinced me to give this a shot. I'm going to start adding this to my diet, start mixing into oatmeal or with milk and honey, like you said. So you can even see there's coronavirus research here, cancer research, and much more, even dental health benefits. So definitely, folks, go to drinktiiga.com with two I's in there and scroll to the bottom. and just click Baobab Research and then dive deep into that for all the research buffs, the people that want to go deeper. So, super informative episode. What would you leave us here with, my friend? What's a good take home? What's something that customers should know walking away from this episode?
Um, I like to say give Baobab a try in general, whether you buy it from us, anybody. I think, and I've tried to reiterate this to actually our suppliers of Baobab. You know, we talk about this is a wild harvested fruit that helps people in Africa make money, but also is wild harvested. So like we have to kind of figure out how to, you know, work on supply and demand over time. I think the Baobab fruit is one of the most valuable ingredients in the world. And so I just say people try it. Like right now, the price is the price, but I think it is actually going to become more valuable in the long run once people figure out how it makes them feel and how much better their bodies work with it in their system. But it's just one of those things where I just say, hey, try it. And you will feel a difference, but you know, I'm not gonna be the one to tell you that. So it can't hurt and it can only help. So that's always my kind of my big takeaway.
100%. And you might save money from other supplements. If you're checking the boxes of hydration, antioxidants, anti inflammatory, fiber, prebiotic support, microbiome support, you might not need as many other things, right? But we're not guaranteeing anything. We're just at least putting this on your radar, right, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm a whole food advocate. So this is just a great way to add a whole food that can check all those boxes.
Thanks for your time, my friend. Really appreciate it. Hope I get to talk to you in the new year as well. And I'll report back on my experience and if I start using
Love
this
it.
clinically with patients as well. Appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on.